Namaskar and good evening to all. Today is the last day of the lecture series of History of Western Philosophy. Today we have with us Dr. Patit Pawan Das and Dr. Kailash Chandra Maharana in the second session. So both are the eminent family members. So formally, I have to introduce introduce both the speaker. So first, I'll start from the first session. Will be the speaker is Dr. Pathit Pawan Das. It's indeed my pleasure to introduce Dr. Patit Pawan Das, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Philosophy, Ravenshaw University, Cuttack. He's going to deliver his lecture on a complete overview of Western European philosophy. Dr. Das has brilliant academic record throughout his career. His philosophical journey began from Government College, Rourkela, under Sambalpur University. He passed there Bachelor of Arts with first class gold medalist in the year 2003. And then he moved to Utkal University, Bani Vihar, Bhubaneswar to pursue his master degree. And there also, again, he got first class first gold medalist. And after that, he moved to JNU New Delhi to pursue his MPhil there and passed in first class from there also. And after he has passed UGC NET several times, 2 times in philosophy and one time in Buddha, Jaina, Gandhian and peace studies. In 2007, he was also teaching assistant at JNU. Then he joined in a college under government of Tripura in 2008 to 10. In 2010, he joined Ravenshaw University. So he has published a number of books, 5 books, 26 articles. He has completed 2 research projects and guided also one PhD student, 5 MPhil students, and many master and undergraduate students. So there is a long profile of Dr. Das, and I have introduced him very shortly. He is academically active through many organizations. He has delivered many lectures and also has coordinated book chapter. He has contributed. So he's academically very active and a leading scholar in Odisha. So the interesting thing about Dr. Das is that you will never feel bored for even a single minute during his lecture. His lecture are very engaging in a very simple way. He tries to reach its students. With that, I ask all the participants to give your full attention to Dr. Das and welcome him on behalf. I welcome him on behalf of Philosophy family. So welcome, sir. So, Dr. Das, please.
Thank you, Devasis. Thank you for this wonderful introduction extended towards me. In fact, I must feel privileged to be the part of this wonderful family, philosophy family. I must be thankful for all the people who are doing this wonderful job, and as directed by Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, I'm going to deliver on something which is very, very difficult, I think. But then I had a try. And the topic I wanted to discuss today is the evolution of Western philosophy. Is it visible? Is the slide visible, Devasis, or anyone, please? Is
Yes,
the slide
sir.
visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. So let me start with this. And as directed, I should not have any audacity to speak in detail about all those masters whom many stalwarts of philosophy from Odisha and other parts of the country have deliberated on. but I'll simply engage on what type of questions actually were engaged in Western philosophy. That was my concern today, and therefore I have written my topic as the evolution of Western philosophy: what, how, and why. So this, I think, will be apt for this session today. So let's start with this. The first question is, how does it all begin? Today we are talking about Western philosophy, but then the very interesting question is, was it, no, did it start with a bang? Did it start with a lot of extravaganza, or did it happen with a very humble manner? How does actually it happen? How does philosophy begin? So that is the first question we should start with. That is, how does it all begin? And of course, as I said, it begins with a bang. But it's not like that. The bang is, it is when man asked a very simple and humble question. That is, what is this? In fact, you might be thinking that, how surprising is this? Philosophy started with this question. This is a very silly question, isn't it? This is a very normal question. Everyone asks this question every day, every time, right? What is this? What is that? When we find out anything, we are strolling on the road and we find something, we ask this question: what is this, right? And how is it that philosophy, of which we esteem a lot, started with this question: what is this? Let's have a look. Okay, I'm sitting on this chair. This is a wooden chair on which I'm sitting. That is there also in your presentation slide, right? And look, this is a chair. Most of us don't ask what is this, but anyone who has not seen the chair, right, before, he must ask this question: what is this? And of course he wants to get an answer, right? And this is very silly. You can say, okay, this is a chair, and someone might be more intelligent and he would say that this is wooden chair, right? And then over. Do you think that over? No. Some people will go again, ask another question. What is that? That is this. What is wood? Look, I said, what is this? You said, this is a wooden chair. And then I asked you again another question: what is wood? Right? And then someone will get an answer, someone will give an answer. I might be satisfied, I'll stop. But someone else will ask this: what is a wood? And then it will proceed on. Then people would say, okay, wood is a part of a tree. And then the question goes on. From tree again up, a jungle up, mountain up, world, then goes to universe, then goes to up and up. Never stops. This question, this simple, silly question, what is this, never stops. And when it becomes an unending journey, that is the actually beginning of philosophy. And this is how it started with, like, next what? Next what? This what question actually goes up and up and up. And then we find this. Sorry. Yeah, what is next? We talk about nature. Then when the nature is complete, then we go to world. Then when the world is complete, then we go to universe, and then go up, right? So we never stop. And this is the exact question what actually engaged the Greek philosophers. Let us start with these Greek philosophers. Initial Greek philosophers were actually engaged with this question. They asked the same question: what is this? Whatever they found around them, right? They simply asked this very humble and simple question: what is this? Right? And they never stopped there. They asked another question. They asked, where does it come from? Even though it is a table, or it is a chair, or it is anything else, then they ask next question. What is that? They ask, where does it come from? Who has done it? Who has made it? So that is what is, where does it come from? And then they again ask this same question. You can find out this is quite logical, this is quite natural. You cannot stop simply asking what is this and stop there, get an answer and stop there. We don't do that. Normally, even in our practical life, we don't do that. We ask the next question, right? If someone says, what is this? Then we ask, where does it come from? Who made it? Right? And then if someone gives an answer to that, and we ask another question, where does it go? Right? Is it real or mere a copy? And you can know associate this question with some philosophers in Greek civilization, right? Plato was asking this question: is this world a reality or a copy? Is it one or many? Is it a form or matter? These are the some of the questions. The root question is, what is this? But the peripheral questions are these, right? When you try to answer one question, that is, what is this? Automatically, these bundles of questions are thrown upon to you, and you are helpless unless you give the answer, right? And Greek philosophers exactly did this. And this is how philosophy started a beginning. Now, and this is how Greek philosophy was popularly known as natural philosophy. Why this is natural philosophy? Because Greek philosophers were more concerned about to understand what is this around us. What is the nature around us? Initially, they were not thinking what is beyond this nature. They were more concerned about the things which are found around them. So therefore, this is called natural philosophy. Most of the Greek philosophers were engaged with finding answers for the questions relating to natural elements, natural things. And that actually gave rise to development of science. So most of the Greek philosophy, most part of the Greek philosophy was dominated by science, right? And of course, you might be knowing that Greek philosophy, Greek civilization was democratic in nature because they were giving, value on pluralism. Because the nature is full of plurality. The nature is full of different types of elements. And therefore, their philosophy could be characterized as pluralism. So this is how Greek universe started. And all of these questions give rise to what? Metaphysics. So Greek philosophers, they started a very humble beginning. They started asking questions, what is this? And they asked these questions to the things around them, but they never stopped there. They went and went up and up and up. They entered to a speculative world. And that is how a very influential branch of philosophy took birth. That is called metaphysics, right? So up to the last duration of Greek civilization was entering more and more to metaphysics or speculative philosophy. Now, and they were engaged all these things. They were engaged studying of being or existence. Of course, here and hereafter. That means they were studying what is there. Many people, they say that metaphysics studies beyond physics. Metaphysics, beyond physics. It is not. Metaphysics simply doesn't study beyond physics, right? Metaphysics has another name also. Metaphysics has another name, is that it studies about physics, right? And therefore, Greek philosophers were studying this world as well as the world beyond it. So they were studying the experiencing world, the real world around us, and they were speculating at the same time if there is another world beyond it. They were studying both. They were studying of life here and hereafter. Simply they were not concentrating on this life, or even they were not concentrating on the life after it. They were not simply speculating about the afterlife. They were studying this life as importantly as the afterlife. They were also studying of the state. You might be knowing that Aristotle studied state so minutely, and he studied state 32 constitutions, very minutely, right? So therefore, the Greek civilization studied the state, real and ideal. Similarly, they were also engaged in studying human behavior, actual as well as desirable. And you can understand now that how philosophy was keeping two legs in two places, in the real world around us. At the same time, they were always trying to go beyond this real world. And here comes another bank. And the bank comes with another form of question. I'll tell you what is this, right? So philosophy traversed a lot with a simple question, that is, what is this? But then another bank comes, another very important thing happened, and it is due to many factors. One is the Peloponnesian War. This war was fought severely, fiercely by two very important city-states. One was Sparta and another was Athens. You might be knowing that Athens was exactly the center of excellence, the center of all kinds of study, right? Athens. And Sparta was militarily excellent. And these two people, two city-states, fought a very fierce war that is called Peloponnesian War. And it lasted for a long time, and of which Athens actually was defeated by this Sparta. So with its defeat, the academic excellence, the civilizational excellence, the cultural excellence went away, deroded to a lot. Okay, and Greek civilization gradually was fall prey to the Rome. But then all of a sudden, again, Rome was also fallen. Rome was destroyed. The civilization of Rome, the empire of Rome was also fallen. And that exactly happened with the ascent of Alexander the Great. Now, when Alexander the Great came to power in Macedonia, what happened actually? Alexander could win many of the countries, right? And Greek civilization became open to the Oriental civilization. So two civilizations come closer with this Alexander's victory, right? And what happened then? The Greek speculation comes contact with the Oriental pragmatism and the vice versa, right? That is how a mixed culture develops in Greece. And that is very interesting to find out. And in this juncture, when Alexander was ascending and descending after that, and when Rome was falling down, right? And Christianity was slowly rising. And you must be knowing that Kailash sir was delivering on that because of the rise of Christianity, the the philosophy of Greek civilization went to a dark chamber. And that is called a middle age. We can understand that the dark period of history of ideas, right? So that is called the rise of Christianity. So what happened when Christianity actually rose in Greece? The Greek civilization, or the philosophical aspect of Greece, actually pushed back to the eternity, right? It was preserved in Arabian countries, and that is a very interesting thing. And from Arab, it was again reaching to Greece by the process of Renaissance, right? That I'll discuss. And of course, Kailash sir was discussing that when this Renaissance happens in Greece, what happened? People started new vibe to study the classical text of Greece. And that is how what happened. Now there is a kind of mixed culture. In one hand, we have Christianity. In another hand, we have Alexander's civilization. Another hand, we have of course, there is another factor that was happening, that is called birth of modern science, right? This is the time when science was slowly developing. And you know that how science and Christianity was antagonistic to each other. And you must be also knowing that how these two civilizations were fighting, two modes of looking at the world were fighting, right? Science at one hand and Christianity at another hand, they were fighting with each other, right? And because Christianity had lots of power, therefore many of the scientists, like for example Bruno was burned, live on the street, right? There are many other scientists like Vessendi, other scientists, they were burnt lively. This is how the torture that was going on against the scientists, right? Even you talk about Galileo. No, Galileo was made to confess that he went mad, right? He said that what I have done, what I have known through the microscope and all the scientific processes went wrong because I went mad, right? This is what due to Christianity. So this is a time which was really a confusing time in history of ideas. So we had three at least antagonistic forces. One is, in one hand, classical text by Greek civilizations. In another hand, we had Christianity, Christian theology, that was in forefront. And in another hand, science was slowly moving, increasing, rising, right? And then of course people has to be confused. Today also we are confused, right? When this corona comes, people become confused. Some of the people, they went to temples that, hey Prabhu Raksha Karo, save me, God save me. But then the state actually closed the temples. Now people confused whom to call. Is it the state which is going to save me, or the God which is going to save me, or the doctors who are going to save me? The same thing happened during that time also. So at the one hand, Greek civilization that was reviving. At another hand, Christianity was trying to dominate the intelligentsia, the psyche of intelligentsia. And at another hand, science was rising slowly and speedily. And human beings were at the confusion. What to do? Whom to believe? Right? Who is telling the truth? That is the question now. It is in forefront. And therefore, appears at this juncture actually, appears Francis Bacon. You might have heard about him. Francis Bacon was a philosopher by passion, but by profession, he was an administrator. So he held a very good position in Britain, right? So administration demanded one kind of attitude. It's not philosophical attitude, not theoretical attitude, right? Administration demands more experiential attitude, right? It's not theoretical attitude, it's experiential attitude. You must know what is the truth, and then you have to take a decision. Francis Bacon was doing that. So because of his administrative role, administrative capacity, and that actually influenced his philosophical career, therefore what happened? He talked about something. What is that? He asked this question: how do I know? Because there are different types of knowledge now. How do I know? Can you now find out the shift? The shift was, the first question was, people were engaged in the question, what is this? Now they are turning, shifting by the mouth of Francis Bacon, that how do I know? How to know? Because there are different types of knowledge I have. Christianity is saying something, science is saying something, right? And the classical texts are saying something, Greek civilization, now Greek people are saying something. So what to know? How to decide what is right knowledge? What is true knowledge? So this is the next question. And for Francis Bacon, knowledge is power, right? And therefore, it is more important to understand the right knowledge, find out the right knowledge. Because unless and until you don't understand the right knowledge, you cannot lead a good life. And therefore, they asked, of course, Francis Bacon asked, because knowledge is power, I must understand what is the right knowledge, right? And therefore, he asked this question. And this is how now the shift comes from metaphysics to epistemology. What is this to how do I know this, right? So that is what is the question epistemology, and how Francis Bacon started. Francis Bacon, actually, Bacon has a baggage. He said that my mind is like a bag. My mind is like a bag. That bag is already full with all kinds of idols, right? As I said, that human mind was full with all these different kinds of knowledge, you know, provided by different kinds of activities. Like Christianity was giving us one kind of knowledge, right? And then Greek philosophers were giving us one kind of knowledge, and then science was giving us another kind of knowledge, right? Now Bacon asks, my mind is full with all these. How can I know the real knowledge? If my mind is full, my bag is full with idols, right? Then what to do? I have to throw them out. If I want to really find out a new knowledge, then I have to throw it out, cast them out, the already knowledge I have from different sources, particularly from Christianity, from Greek philosophers, right? So what I have to do, I have to just throw them out, cast them out, so that I can have right knowledge or new knowledge. And for that, what do we have to do? We have to become a child, right? We have to become a children, innocent, so innocent. When a child encounters anything, right, he or she encounters with blank mind. He doesn't know anything, and therefore children ask lots of questions. They ask lots of questions. What is this? What is that? They are not satisfied. They simply go on asking questions because their mind is blank. They approach a thing with complete innocence. And why we grown-ups, adult people, don't ask questions? Because we know that we know many things. We assume that we know many things, and therefore we don't want to know another knowledge. And Bacon actually said that if you want to get real knowledge, true knowledge, new knowledge, then you have to become again children, kids. And therefore you have to become innocent of isms and all the abstractions which philosophers have put to you. And I think you are aware of all these things, like idols of tribe, idols of cave, idols of the marketplace, idols of the theater, right? And I don't want to discuss them in detail because it is already discussed. But let me tell you what are these. Bacon believes that these are different kinds of knowledge already injected to us, to our mind, from different sources. Now, if we want to have, new knowledge, what we have to do? We have to throw them out. And this is just very simple. You have a pen drive now, right? So you people are more techno savvy. I know that. Suppose your pen drive is full with files, and you want to have another file. What do you have to do? You have to delete some of the files, some of the obsolete files, some of the old files which we don't use. Unless and until you cast them out, how can you get another new file? Similarly, Bacon said that unless and until we cast them our old notions from our mind, then we cannot get new knowledge. And that is what is Bacon. And Bacon said, therefore, you must open your senses. And the method he induced to us is method of induction, right? And I won't discuss detail what is method of induction, but I would simply say that Bacon was introducing the method of induction in the sense that he was banking upon the sense experience again. So you simply experience, examine, and then try to find out whether that is true or false. Don't believe who said, don't believe on the Pope, don't believe on the Christianity, don't believe on the classical text, don't believe anyone else. Simply believe on your sense organs, right? And then you make an experiment. The experiment of enumeration, classification, elimination, and explanation. These are the 4 methods through which you can find new knowledge. So this is what Bacon's idea. And therefore, I have written the heading, if you can see, that is light the lamp. So when you light the lamp, automatically darkness goes away, shades away. Similarly, you just open your mind, you just open your eyes, your ear, everything, you just open them. Then new knowledge will come, new knowledge will be bestowed on you. Don't bank upon your old notions. So that is what is Bacon's most important contribution. Now, but sometimes eyes cheat us. I see that the sea or the ocean is, attached with the sky somewhere. I see it. I see that in front of me there is a river flowing in a very sunny day. But then when I reach there, I find this is only bare land, bare road. But eyes cheat us. Sometimes eyes cheat us. And therefore, what happened? Enters rationalists. But mind it, people are now more concerned about how do I get a better knowledge. People are not more concerned about what to know, whether this life is true or that life is true, whether this world is true or that world is true, whether this world of reality is true or the world of ideas is true. People are not more concerned about that. Now people are more concerned that how do I know? Whatever I know, how do I know? And this is how rationalists actually interfere, because sometimes our eyes deceive us, cheat us, right? And therefore these rationalist people came, and you know that who are they? Descartes, Spinoza, and Leibniz. These people came to the front as rationalists. Rationalist people started with, set up their journey with this man, Descartes. And of course, Descartes' doubt. And Descartes believed that if we want to find a real knowledge, true knowledge, certain knowledge. Now mind it, I am using different kinds of adjectives to knowledge. And we will discuss later on what are they, why they are different. True knowledge, certain knowledge, right? Real knowledge. These are different adjectives I am using. Now this man is saying, look, this Descartes is saying, in order to believe, what we have to do is we have to doubt everything, because our eyes somewhere, sometime, our eyes not cheated us, deceived us. Therefore, what is the guarantee that today in front of me, what I see is not a deception done by my eyes again? So I cannot bank upon or believe my eyes blindly. So what I have to do? In order to find out the certain knowledge, I have to doubt. I have to doubt everything. So rationalist journey actually started with this simple agenda, that we have to doubt everything before believing. Now, what was the engagement of Descartes? Descartes wanted to give a foundation to philosophy. Why is that? Let me discuss. Why? Look, philosophy was second by these three people. In one hand, Greek philosophers were giving a fabulous kind of philosophical system. In another hand, Christianity was giving us another kind of theological explanation of this world, completely opposite to each other. And here science comes, sometimes swinging with Greek civilization, sometimes swinging with Christianity. And this is very horrific kind of, and in fact, it is recorded that is called the terror of history. That is called terror of history. That because people are in dismay, people are in great confusion, and philosophy actually was suffered with this. What is that? Philosophy lost its foundation, because the Greek philosophers, they developed a kind of a very solid philosophical system which was second by Christianity. Now Christianity was completely smashed by science, new science. Then actually philosophy lost everything. Philosophy lost its foundation. And therefore Descartes wanted to give a very good foundation to philosophy. Why? Because he thought that unless and until philosophy doesn't bank upon doesn't establish on a very good foundation, no one can believe on philosophy. No one will read philosophy. So what we have to do? We have to give a very solid foundation. Then what should be the foundation? The foundation is mathematics. Now, Descartes says, let mathematics meddles. Mathematics interferes, because for Descartes, mathematical conclusions are purely certain, quite certain. It doesn't change. It doesn't change with anything else, right? And therefore, Descartes actually asked that let mathematics comes to the aid of philosophy. Let mathematics gives a foundation to philosophy, so that philosophical conclusions would be very, very solid, very, very certain. And why mathematics? That I'll say, quite bit. Why mathematics? Because that I'll say. But what Descartes then say? What is the method, strategy? The strategy is we have to find some propositions which are very clear and distinct. Clear and distinct means what? Clear means it is so clear, so transparent that there should be no doubt to believe it. This is one. Whether our senses say it, whether anything else says it, doesn't matter, but it is so clear that by closing my eyes also I believe on it. That is called a clear proposition. And what is distinct proposition? A distinct proposition is that which is not dependent on any other propositions. That is called a distinct proposition. It is just atomic, so simple proposition. It's very, very simple proposition, right? It doesn't depend on any other proposition. So that is what clear and distinct proposition. Descartes believed that if I can find out one or two or some clear and distinct propositions which everyone will believe without doubt, then on that basis I can deduce many other propositions. And that is how he employed deductive method. And the clear and distinct proposition he talked about were the axioms. He said that if we can find out some axioms, some clear and distinct propositions which intuitively, without depending on our experience, we can believe. And in fact, we cannot help but believe it. That is what is called clear and distinct proposition, right? Our sense experience, right, cannot just reject it. So that is what is called clear and distinct proposition. And if we can find it out from deductive method of course is available in Greek philosophy. So we can find out that, and through that deductive method, we can bring out other propositions. So this is Descartes' agenda. And therefore, he meditated on. He didn't go to the world to find out what is true knowledge, just like Bacon. Bacon was moving here and there, having a lamp, right? Having a lamp. During the night, he was searching in the world around to find out true knowledge. But Descartes didn't go anywhere, didn't venture to the world. Simply he slept. And you are surprised to know that Descartes is famous for his good sleep. He was sleeping up to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? He was sleeping up to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He was having good wine, good food. He didn't have a job, right? He have an university job. He simply, dependent on his hiring, and then he slept, meditated on, dreamt, and from that he found this. He thought that there is at least one proposition which everyone has to believe, even closing their eyes, even though they don't depend on their sense experience, they have to believe on it. That is, I think, therefore I am. What is that? No one can doubt that he is thinking, because thinking itself, doubting itself, is a process of thinking, right? So if he says that I am doubting, means he is thinking. So no one can deny that he is not thinking. So the moment he says that I am doubting, he has to agree that he is thinking. Now, if he is thinking, that means he has to exist. Unless and until he exists, how can he think and how can he doubt? So that is why Descartes reaches this proposition. He says that this proposition, I think, therefore I am, is so simple, so clear, so distinct that no one can reject it, no one can refute it, either by sense organs or by mind, by reason, whatever. No one can reject it. This is a very simple, very clear and distinct proposition. Now got it. This is the one proposition from which now he has to build the whole philosophy. I think, therefore I am. And when I exist, the next moment he has to prove is that God exists. And there is whole debate, whole arguments Descartes provides why God exists. I don't want to venture into it again because I don't want to bore you. This has been discussed in a very detailed way. How God exists is proved from my existence. So from my existence, he proves that God exists. From existence of the God, he proves that the world exists. And when the existence of world is confirmed, then he proves that my body also exists. This is how he moves. And therefore I said that rationalists actually made a resort of ideas from one simple proposition. They are making the whole resort, the whole philosophy out of it, even venturing out to the world from mind only, from connection, from if this is this, then this will happen. If this will happen, then that will happen. If that will happen, then that will happen. They will continue and they will create the whole of fabulous system of philosophy. This is how he did. So the question which Greek philosophers asked, now if it is asked to Descartes, Descartes would say, who exists? What is? What exists? Who are they? They are God and body and mind. So these three things exist. God, body and mind. I don't want to discuss that again. And then you know that Descartes was talking about dualism. Body exists and mind also exists. And his dualism is beautifully, right, manifested in this. What is mind? No matter. What is matter? Never mind. So this is how he enters to a dualism. Descartes enters to a dualism. And at this, he stops that God exists as the supreme. Let me come to again Descartes. Okay. God exists as the ultimate substance, but body and mind, they do exist depending on the God. Right? In this way, what Descartes did, let me tell you. Descartes was a scientist. Remember one thing. I was saying Bruno was murdered brutally. Galileo was confessed. Right? Bassendi was murdered. Now, Descartes could not dare to go against Christianity. He could not say that God doesn't exist. He could not say it. Even though he doesn't want to say this, but he could not say it. And therefore, he has to take a middle path. He said, yes, God exists. God created everything, but after the creation, God left. And very popularly, he said that, right? God created this world, and after that, he threw this dice. Dice is the world. And the world operates by itself, just like a clock. And therefore, it is called the clock universe. Our universe is a clock universe. Clock universe means, for the first time, the clockmaker creates a clock and then pulls the key on it, and when the clock operates for the first time, and then the clockmaker vanishes and the clock operates by itself. Similarly, Descartes says that the God was there. God created everything, body, mind, everything, but after that he left. He just left, and he just gave the world to run by itself. In this way, what Descartes did, Descartes made Christianity happy. Now, when Christianity, popes would say, hey, Descartes, Do you believe in God? He says, yes, I believe in God. Do you believe that God has created everything? Yes, I do believe in God has created everything. Then Descartes says that, okay, God has created everything, but after that he is silent. Now it is our duty, scientist duty, to understand the world, how it operates, and to change it, moderate it. And this is how Descartes actually made happy both of them, the Christianity and the scientists. Okay. And therefore Descartes also said that body or the physical universe should be discussed by science. Mind as a spiritual entity, spiritual substance, should be discussed and studied by theology and philosophy. So this is a very wonderful, contract. He made a very wonderful contract. सब लोग खुश हो गए, सब लोग happy. This is how Spinoza. But here actually enters Spinoza. Spinoza didn't stop there. Spinoza thought that if Descartes is really true, if Descartes is really faithful to his method, the method of doubt, the method of deductive logic, then he cannot stop in dualism. He cannot stop believing that body and mind, they are both separately existing. He cannot do that because logic doesn't permit it. Why? If you understand the definition of a substance, and that is again the Descartes method, that you have to understand the first clear and distinct proposition. And the most clear and distinct proposition is the substance. The substance is that which doesn't depend on anything. It is self-caused and self-fulfilled. And if it is true, if this definition is true, if this Cartesian definition is true, then how can you believe on two different entities, body and mind? There could be only one, that is God. Of course, Spinoza won't talk about God. Spinoza would say there is only one substance. And then this body and mind, whom Descartes was talking about two entities. They are simply qualities of this one entity, one substance. They are not substance, independent substance. These are simply two attributes of the same entity. That is Spinoza. And therefore he declared that dualism is really very difficult. Unity is universal. So there is only one entity, one substance that could be only known. That could be only known through deductive logic. The world exists and God and I simply exist. So for Spinoza, God doesn't exist. I don't exist. Only the nature exists. Only one substance exists. Okay. Spinoza would say, I will not mind. If you say that substance is God, I will not mind. And if you say that that substance is nature, I won't mind. But you say that there is only one reality. You cannot say there are two realities. In fact, Descartes was talking about three realities. It is not possible. Spinoza said that if Descartes is faithful to his method, then he cannot believe in three substances. He has to believe in one substance only. That might be nature, that might be God, that might be spirit, whatever, but that is one only. So unity is the truth. Duality is difficult. And therefore he declared another. I won't discuss that in detail, otherwise my time will be over. I am conscious about that also. And he said, what exists? One in many and many in one. That is how he bridges the gap between this dualism. So there is only one entity that is manifested in many. And there are many, this diversity, but actually that is one. This is Spinoza. And here enters another rationalist. Taking this reason seriously, taking this axioms seriously and deductive method seriously, he says, if Spinoza is true and if Descartes is not true, then what happens? That one Remember that Descartes was saying matter, the essential characteristic of matter or body is extension, right? And if it is extension, then it is passive. So matter is passive. For Leibniz, matter is passive. But in this world, you find life, and life is not passive. Life is active. And from where then this life or activity comes from a passive matter. So this is how logic gives us. This is how deductive logic proves that if you are saying that matter is passive, then how can from a passive matter active life comes? It is not possible. Logically, this is not possible, because we know that our mind says, our reason says that nothing great comes from lesser. The effect cannot be less than the cause, right? Or more than the cause. That is the idea. So activity cannot come from the passivity. Therefore, matter is not there. Matter doesn't exist. The whole world, the whole universe is a grand design. So the whole universe is a design, or spiritual design, or forceful design, or energetic design. It is already harmonized. It is a very subtle, delicate, complex design. You cannot just simply say that matter, and you know that what Descartes and all scientists that again says that matter, because they are passive, matter moves randomly. It doesn't have an order. It moves randomly, right? Leibniz says that this is not possible. The whole universe, if you look at it, if you just perceive the whole world, then you will find there is a subtle and a very grand design operating in it. And it is not possible in a very random and chaotic matter. The matter which is randomly moving, they cannot create a very perfect world. And therefore, we have to believe on a substance which is very, very spiritual, very, very intelligent, very, very active. Look how the axioms and the deductive method takes to us, leads to us, right? So this is how Leibniz. Then how do I know? Okay, epistemology again intensifies. This is Leibniz. Leibniz says that there is a very, very sophisticated, intelligent creator of this world. Do you believe on it? Do you experience that? There is a very, very intelligent boy standing there or sitting there who is creating everything. All the harmonies, all the movements, everything is designed by an intelligent, intelligent designer, an architect. Is it possible? How to know that? So the next moment again will come. Epistemology will again intensify, condense. That is, they will ask, hello, before you say this, that there is an intelligent designer, before you say that there is only one thing, before you say that there are three things, just tell us, how do you know that? So check your net before you fish. So if you want to catch some fish from a pond, before that, you just check your net from which you are going to catch the fish. Is it right? Is there any hole in it? Then you cannot catch any fish. So again, epistemology revives, comes by the empiricist eyes. It comes with these three wonderful people, Locke, Berkeley, and Hume. These three people will come. They will ask, say, look, rationalist, enough. You are talking about substance, you are talking about intelligent designer, you are talking about God, you are talking about body, mind, this, that, blah, blah. How do you know that? By your reason. But how do you know that reason even operates? So tell us the methods of knowing. This is how the empiricist actually interferes, intrudes to the discussion. And the discussion starts with this man, John Locke. And he brings us a locker. You have no bank locker? Similarly, Locke brings a locker. He says that our mind is just like a locker. Of course, an empty locker. But the locker is empty. Our mind is empty. And it has only one door. Only one door. What is that? That is, of course, sense organs. Now, Locke believes that our mind is blank. Our mind is a blank chamber, blank, empty locker. It doesn't have anything. And it has only one open door. And that door is the sensation or the sense organs. And then what do? Close that door, the world will disappear. This is what? Because that is the only way, only method through which we can know anything. Whether that is God, whether that is the designer, whether that is body, mind, whatever. We have to bank upon only one door, only one source, that is our sense organs. And if you are not banking on that sense organs, you know nothing. So that is how Locke interferes. And here comes a very interesting riddle that I call Rose Riddle. And I introduce this Rose Riddle to my students in my classes. Let me also introduce this, the Rose Riddle. What is that? The riddle goes like this. The rose is red. The rose is red, therefore it looks red. Or the rose looks red, therefore it is red. This is a question for you. Think a little bit. But let me go back again, Locke. We know that I said that they close the door, the world disappears. And you know that how Locke describes on innate ideas, refutes innate ideas. And then he says about primary qualities, secondary qualities. And then he talks about abstract ideas, simple ideas and all. I don't want to discuss them in detail. But what actually Locke was doing? Locke was simply saying that, look, whatever exists, it will exist only when it will be perceived. And beyond my perception, I don't know whether that really exists or that doesn't exist. And therefore, Locke was talking about the substance, I know not what. So that is the definition for Locke. The substance is that I know not what. I don't know because I don't perceive it. My sense organs do not give us any sense data about substance, because whenever I see something, I see a table, I don't see a table really. I see qualities. I see a color. I see brown color, or I see a shape, or I see a size. I don't see the table, right? So therefore, because sense organs are only source of our knowledge, therefore I cannot know what is the substance. And John Locke was so humble that he said, look, I don't bother also. I don't bother what exists there beyond my sense organs. I bother what it looks. How does it look to me? Okay, so that is what Locke. And this is how we found this, the rose riddle. And he said the rose is red, therefore it looks red. Or the rose looks red, therefore it is red. This is a very interesting riddle. You must think over that. And you have to give the answer when question answer session will be there. Okay. And this this question was taken up by another empiricist, Berkeley. And Berkeley actually created a bungalow out of it. He said, look, if Locke is right, and if you take Locke seriously, and if that is true, that we can know only the qualities, we can know only through our sense organs, then matter doesn't exist. And that is what is the famous refutation of immaterialism propounded by Berkeley. So what I am very sure, I am very sure about my sensations, ideas. Because whenever I see a thing, I see or I find a sensation of a color, a sensation of a size, a sensation of a shape, or a sensation of a taste. All of them are ideas. So I am very certain about my ideas. I am not certain about the matter, because matter doesn't come to my sense organs. And therefore what he said, matter is not perceived. So matter went away. And therefore I close my eyes. When I close my eyes, the world vanishes. Okay? But one thing is very sure, that is, I perceive, therefore I exist. I perceive whatever I perceive, therefore I exist, because my sensations are there, right? So ideas only exist. This is how idealism was created. And therefore I wrote there, Berkeley and his bungalow, right? He created a bungalow out of it. Whole idealism, a brand new philosophy comes, idealism, right? And here now enters another, Hume and his Hume. Very interesting. Hume and his Hume. Now Hume says, oh my God, Locke and Berkeley, they were doing very good thing. John Locke was doing one thing, and Berkeley cut him down by a sword. What is that? The matter was cut, broken away, smashed by perception, right? Now Hume says that because matter is not perceived, therefore Berkeley said matter doesn't exist. Now Berkeley believes that I exist, a spiritual entity exists. Does Berkeley perceive the spiritual entity? No. The answer is no. Even we don't experience my soul. I don't experience myself. Simply I experience sporadic ideas, sporadic kind of sensations. In fact, Hume calls it impressions, right? Sporadic ideas. I simply stumble upon sporadic ideas here and there. I never meet the soul. So the logic by which matter was smashed, the same logic actually destroyed mind. So Hume actually destroyed everything. Hume destroyed matter. Hume destroyed, actually Berkeley destroyed matter. Hume destroyed mind. So nothing left. No matter, never mind. Never mind. Okay? Nothing left. And if nothing left, what to believe? What to believe? What is the true knowledge? Hume, this is how enters to a very, very scorching kind of skepticism. And he asked this question, will the sun rise tomorrow? There is no guarantee. Because whatever I see today at this moment. I don't know whether the next moment I go to perceive it or not. So I cannot say anything about tomorrow. I can say simply about now. And if it is true, then will the sun rise tomorrow? This is how philosophy was destroyed. Science was destroyed. Christianity was destroyed. Nothing was left. Hume actually gave us a very devastating blow. But then, of course, the sun rises. And the sun rose. The sun rose with the rises of Kant, the philosopher. Kant comes as the sun rises every day. Even though Hume says that I don't know, but that doesn't matter. Sun rises in the next morning, and as the sun rises in the next morning, the next philosopher rises in the form of Kant. The Kant comes, but Kant comes with a goggles. Kant and his kala chasma, black goggles. Kant comes with a black goggles. What is that? Let's discuss. But let me tell you that. What Kant said, Kant found that, look, rationalists are like spiders. Let's imagine, remember again, What is that? Rationalist. Rationalists are like spiders. Imagine a spider. You just think about a spider. What a spider does? Spider actually brings out a very brilliant, a very magnificent kind of net from its own body. Very own body, it doesn't go anywhere, and makes a huge net, huge house, right, from its own body. And similarly, Kant believes that rationalists also did like that. Rationalists thought that we can prove everything, we can know everything only depending on our reason. We should not go anywhere. We should simply depend on our reason, and we can know anything, everything. That is what is, rationalists are like spiders moving. And then comes empiricists, right? And Kant believes that empiricists are like ants. Ants do not do anything, do not create anything. Simply they gather. They gather from everywhere. They gather from everywhere. They do not create anything. They simply gather and collect from everywhere and gather, save them. And Locke, Berkeley, and Hume, they are empiricists. They are like ants. They believe that our mind is just like ant. It cannot create anything. It simply collects information from outside and gathers. And mind is just a dump yard. Mind is just so passive, or dump yard or dustbin. Simply you collect information, gather there, just like an ant does. This is not like that. Kant believes this is not true. Our mind is not like spider. Our mind is not like ant either. Our mind is like a honeybee. Look how a honeybee does. Honeybee, collects nectar from the flowers, right? Collects. Without the collection, we cannot find honey. But what it collects, it is not honey also. Honeybee works on it. Honeybee transforms it, right? Does lots of modification on the nectar he brings from the outside. And then he creates a new creation, that is honey. Honey is not the nectar he brought. Similarly, our mind is also like that. Our mind doesn't create everything from itself. Neither our mind brings everything from outside and doesn't do anything. Our mind collects our mind collects information from outside, but then it works upon it. It works upon it. It works through its categories. This is how Kant talks about transcendental aesthetics and transcendental analytics. Right? What he does, he says that our mind collects information through our sense organs, like empiricists believe. True. But it doesn't simply produce that as it brings. It uses its categories. Categories are there in our mind, right? They operate on the sensations. The sensations are raw. They cannot be, they could not be eaten directly. Knowledge cannot be produced from that raw, wild kind of sensations. It should be processed. It should be cooked properly. Then only it could be a knowledge. And that is how Kant actually makes an assimilation. Assimilation between experience as well as reason. That's a wonderful job, right? And therefore he is said to be a Copernicus in philosophy, because he brings a completely new kind of idea that our mind is not passive, but our mind is also not samrat, dictator, right? It is not passive, but it is not also dictator. It cannot create anything whatever by its whim. No, it is not like that. So it has to depend on the senses. When the sense organs collect some sensations, mind works on it, and then the final products become the knowledge, and that knowledge is true. But Kant again brings lots of twists to that. What about that? Let's discuss it. And therefore, Kant says that before you tell anything, try to find out a new knowledge about anything, you just check your net. Because as your net, so is your fish. Right? If you go to catch fish with a bigger hole, bigger hole net, then you cannot catch smaller fish because they will go out. Similarly, even though our mind has lots of categories, it cannot create the knowledge by itself. It has to depend on the senses. But when it depends on senses, it has another two net. They are space and time. So our senses come through these space and time. Those space and time actually make the sensations ready to be processed in the chamber through categories. Okay, so that is the net he was talking about. Now, so the world is as you see or as you perceive through your goggles. So that is how Kant, I was saying that Kant was wearing a goggles. You just imagine if you wear a goggles, red goggles, then the whole world is seen as red to you. And now just imagine if you from your birth come with a goggles, you never see anything without that goggles, then the world looks like that only. The goggles, what the goggles says, right? So Kant actually could not open out that goggles throughout his life. And therefore he says, we have a limit of knowledge. Our knowledge has a limit because our goggles has a limit. The goggles cannot catch everything. The goggles has a limit. It can only extend to the phenomenon world, phenomena. So the goggles can only give us the idea or knowledge about this world, the world of phenomena, the world of perception, the world of sensation. And I cannot see anything beyond it because my goggles doesn't permit. Therefore, Kant says, don't say anything about the beyond world. You simply talk about this world only. So your knowledge has a limit. Your knowledge has a limit to phenomena only. Beyond that, if there is a world, if at all there is a world, I cannot know anything. I cannot know anything about that. But should I declare like Locke that it is unknowable? Is it unknowable? Kant says, no. It cannot be unknowable. It might be unknowable, but it cannot be sayable. Therefore, it can be simply believed. It should be believed only. Faith can operate there. Knowledge cannot. So knowledge can operate in this world only. We can talk about this world and we can say true or false only about this world. And when we go beyond it, just like God, just like self, they actually are beyond this world. Therefore, you don't never say true or false about them. You simply can say that whether you believe it or you don't believe it, but never say whether that is true or false. So, let science studies phenomena, let theology studies that faith, noumena. He talks about that noumena, that world. Beyond that world, beyond this world, there is another world that is called noumena. But that noumena, about that noumena, we cannot say anything. Science cannot say anything. Let theologists enter to there, right? Let faith enters there. But let science doesn't venture to that. So let theology studies faith. And what philosophy has to do? No one should meddle in other. That means science should not enter to study God, soul, and other. Similarly, theology should not talk about body. Theology should not talk about this world. No one should interfere into anyone's field. Theology should operate in another world. Science should operate in another world. Then what philosophy has to do? Philosophy कौन करेगा? Philosophy has to ensure that these people are not crossing the limits. And whenever anyone cross its boundary, philosophy has to check it. That look, you are crossing now your boundary. Stop. Check your movement. That is the task of philosophy. And therefore, philosophy or Kant's philosophy is called criticism. And criticism has a very notorious name. Many people believe that criticism means critical, complex. No, allegations. No. Criticism has another name also. Systematic philosophy. Criticism means systematic philosophy. Kant says that everything should be systematized. Nothing should be in mess. Science should not enter to that field where it should not enter. Similarly, theology should not enter to that field where it should not enter. Everyone should now follow a system. Therefore, this is systematic. So criticism is a systematic study. Everything at its own systematic place. So Kant makes it. Kant says that don't interfere. So philosophy has to do that. Philosophy has to ensure that no one is interfering in another's field. And then what is task for us? So this is Kant. Up to Kant. What is the task for us? What do we have to do? We have to do. What do we have to do? In fact, the rest of the Western philosophers, starting from Hegel, Bradley, Bergson, or Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, anyone you talk about, any name, you just talk. Any name in Western philosophy, what they are doing and what we philosophers, next generation philosophers have to do. That is, what is our task? Our task is simply make that goggles, that black goggles, Kant's goggles, whiter. It is too black. Let's make it whiter, right? So that we can see better and brighter. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Devasis, I think I finished my talk by time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
and the good thing is that no one bored. As I have already told that your lecture is so engaging. Your lecture is really so engaging that no one feels bored even for a single minute.
Thank you. Thank you. Speaking on Western philosophy in one single dose is really difficult.
Yeah, it is, but you made it so simple in such a simple way. How you present this is excellent. So thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for your nice presentation, for a very engaging lecture. So now I request Madam Nivedita Priyadarshini to moderate the session. If some question and queries, you can post there in the chat box, and Nivedita ma'am will put to one by one to sir. So Nivedita ma'am, are you there? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. It was so simple, so clearly explained. Before I begin this question answer session, I must say I can see so much of compliments coming from all the participants who are listening you. In fact, I learned a lot from your teaching and from your understanding, sir.
Thank
it was
you.
So excellent.
Thank you, Nivedita.
Even the presentation was so innovative that I just want this session to be continued and won't stop. So thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. Now I'll begin with this question session. I think there is only 2 questions till now. One is from K.O. Narayan, sir. He asked, did Berkeley say I perceive, therefore I exist? or I perceive an object, therefore the object exists, or both?
Yeah, I will go with the last one, or both, right? Or both, because I used in a very dramatic way, of course. Therefore might be the confusion. The confusion is, look, Berkeley was believing that there is someone behind us to perceive. So he was just assuming it, that exists, right? And it is not possible, right? Whenever you say that someone is perceiving, that means you are assuming the existence of that perceiver, isn't it? So that perceiver is already there. For Berkeley thought that that spiritual entity is already there because it perceives. Without it, perception is not possible. And since the perception is continuing, going on, therefore the perceiver also continues to exist. So that was what Berkeley, right? And therefore, what he believes at the last, he believes that I as a perceiver exist. There is no doubt on that. And whatever I perceive, that exists. And if I don't perceive anything, then I don't, nothing exists. But then I perceive myself because the perception itself exists. Therefore, I exist all the time.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is from Narayan Behra, sir. He asked, does Kant's philosophy is regulative in nature?
Okay, I became a little bit, please repeat.
Narayan Behra, sir, asked that, does Kant's philosophy is regulative in nature?
Regulative in which sense? Narayan sir might be thinking regulative in the sense, if you are saying regulative means that philosophy has to regulate or dominate or fixes the norms of science, then it is not. It is really not. If that is the meaning of, sorry, if my voice is clear, someone wrote my voice is not clear.
Yes, sir, your voice is clear.
Clear, okay. So if Narayan sir uses regulative in the sense that it controls, then it is not. Kant's theory is not, Kant's philosophy is not regulative in that sense. If regulative means, Narayan sir believes that regulative means that it fixes the norms of operation, then it is regulative in the sense, because as Kant's philosophy is also otherwise known as transcendental philosophy, right? Transcendental philosophy means, in one sense of transcendental philosophy means that because of that this happens, right? So that is the sense of transcendentality. So if that is the idea, that means if philosophy is there, then science operates. So in that sense, regulative, it is regulative, but it doesn't control. Simply, Kant says that it has to look that science should not cross its field of operation. That is the simple theory, right? It has its own field of operation. Science has to operate within that boundary. It should not do that. It should not cross. And Kant says that when it crosses the boundary, right, then no, it mistakes. It commits lots of mistakes. So it should not do that. And regulative, not in the sense Hitler's regulation, right? If you don't do this, if you cross the boundary, then I will give you punishment. No. Kant's philosophy is not like that. Kant's philosophy simply says that what is one's boundary. It simply shows us what is the boundary for our operation. That's all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is from Nanda Ghosh, sir. How can we make Kant goggle brighter?
Yeah, very interesting question, and I am also doing that. I am writing, in fact, I am engaged in a book on that. I am writing on the recent Western philosophers like Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, who have done a little bit work beyond Kant. So I would invite Nanda Ghosh, madam or sir, to cooperate with me. We can do it.
And sir, he also asked another question, that where to place space and time? Are they the glasses? If so, then how does the color matter? Do you have any other connotation attached to the black color?
Okay, no, black color was just a simile. Forget about that. What I was saying, the glass is not transparent. That is the idea. The glass is not transparent. It is colored, and when it is colored, that means whatever I see through that colored glass, I will see that things only that color. So you just look, if your glass is red, your goggles is red. If you are wearing a goggles, red goggles, then you see a white chalk, but the chalk appears to be red. That's the problem. So it doesn't matter with color. It matters that the goggles actually distorts my vision. That's what I am not getting the real view what I want to get because of this glass. So therefore I have to now erase that color from that so that I can see the glass clearly, so see the thing clearly, right? So it might be black, it might be red, it might be, doesn't matter, but it should not be transparent. The glass is not transparent. For Kant believe that the glass is not transparent, and that is the most misfortune or unfortunate thing I could find about Kant, and I am trying my best how to make that transparent. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mona Lisa Sahu. I don't know what she asked. She asked what Bacon said about how we can intentionally withdraw our existing knowledge in order to get new knowledge.
Yeah, very good, very good. This is really very good question. I said that Bacon's engagement started with casting away all the idols. He said that all the idols were already there. They were put into our mind already there, right? They were already there, and until and unless they are cast away, they are thrown away from my bag, how can I bring another new thing to my inside the bag? So I have to cast them away, right? Now, how to do it? Actually, Bacon stopped there. Bacon did not do anything more on that. Bacon simply said, light the lamp, right? Bacon simply said, light the lamp. When you light the lamp, then automatically other things will go away, disappear, and new knowledge will come. So that is a simile. But what he does, he says that you know that you have lots of baggages, lots of idols in your mind, but don't believe on that. So that is the first step. Don't believe on that. Then whom to believe? Deliberately, you believe on your sense organs. So that is the simile used for light the lamp, right? So he used that, but this project has been taken off seriously by the next philosophers, like phenomenologist philosophers. They are doing excellent job how to cast away all those baggages. So that actually takes lots of time, so I should not enter to that. Bacon did not do that. Bacon simply said that you just simply say whatever theory is there, whatever abstraction is there, whatever I know, forget. That you do. And you simply believe on your eyes or sense organs. So this is the simple thing Bacon did, but it is so simple. You can say it is so simple. But later philosophers actually developed on that. You'll if you read continental philosophy, you have a clear idea how they do it. Cast away all the abstractions. Okay.
Thank you, sir. The next question is by Prasanta Kumar Aruka. He asked, you said the cause cannot be less than the cause. Please clarify in what sense cannot be less. The tree is bigger than the seed.
Okay, very interesting. The tree is bigger than the seed. Yeah, yes. But the seed is not the cause. That is the question. Okay, the seed is not the cause, no?
No, sir.
Whatever.
He asked, you said the cause cannot be the less. Cause cannot be less than.
I understand. Means the simple idea is that if you bring two liters of milk, right? 2 liters of milk, and then you want to have curd, then the curd, what do you get? cannot be more than 2 liters of 2 liters of milk, right? So the effect cannot be more than the cause. It can be equal, but cannot be more than the cause. So that is the traditional view of the relationship between cause and effect, right? Cause and effect with the traditional relationship is that the effect cannot be greater than the cause, and it is quite logical also. How can you
So it
find
was,
out? Yes.
sorry sir to interrupt. He has also cleared that it was effect. Cause cannot be less than the effect. It was just a typing mistake.
Yeah. That is then it's okay. So I said that effect has to be, because effect cannot be better than the cause. No, idea is that we have a very clear and distinct perception, again intuition again, is that nothing comes out of nothing, right? So if effect becomes larger than the cause, then this violates that intuition that something comes out of nothing, right? If 3 kilo of curd comes out of 2 kilo of milk, then at least 1 kilo of curd comes out of nothing, isn't it? And that is a logical contradiction. So that is why I said that effect cannot be more than the cause. It can be equal, but it cannot be more than the cause. Okay, I think I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Shravani Alpana. She wants to know, even I also wants to know this question, whose philosophy you might want to follow personally?
This is a difficult question, Shravani. I can tell you this question personally.
Okay,
So
sir.
my personal, yeah, my personal choices can be discussed personally. I should not discuss here. Okay, thank you. But thank you very much for this question. We will discuss later. So this is a secret.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question from Pramod Kumar Das, sir. Please clarify how Descartes said that world exists, therefore body exists, as you said, in order of existence.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good. The idea is if you go through the whole system of Descartes' evolution, what happens? He first establishes he first destroys everything, right? And then first he establishes my mind, means as a spiritual entity I exist. Okay. Now he says that because I exist and I have an innate idea of God, and this idea of God is not created by me, right? And that is the same logic that effect cannot be more than the cause. So if I am the effect, my existence is the effect. So I can be less than, no, I cannot be more than the cause, right? So that is the idea. So the cause must be more than the effect. Okay. And in that way, I am not the cause of my existence. So there's something more which causes me, and that is God. So in that way, God's existence is confirmed. Right? Now, when God's existence is confirmed, he says another. So mind it, for Descartes, he has 3 kinds of ideas, right? One is innate ideas, another is fictitious ideas, another is adventitious ideas, right? Now, what about adventitious ideas? What is that? What is adventitious ideas? Descartes believes that these adventitious ideas come to me through my sense organs. So this is a very interesting thing. You have to note that, right? These adventitious ideas come to me through my sense organs. This doesn't come from my innate ideas. So I am not the cause of this, right? I am not the cause of this idea. These ideas, I am not the cause. Then who is the cause? Definitely God is the cause. Because I exist and God exists. No one else exists. Do you understand that? Now, the connection is that if I exist and God exists and I have certain ideas which are not caused by myself, then who created them? Definitely God has created them. So God created those things about which I get the idea. adventitious idea. So nature existed, right? Nature existed, the universe existed, world existed. Okay, and then Descartes also says, just like the idea of a tree is an adventitious idea, I get it from outside. Similarly, my idea of my hand or idea of my leg, right, are also adventitious idea. These are not innate ideas, right? So these ideas are also come from outside of myself. And if it comes from outside, that means it is the part of the natural world, because natural world now exists. First I existed, then God existed, and because I have adventitious ideas of trees, mountain, and other things, so what happens that God actually created them, so nature existed. Now when nature existed, I could find that I have another set of ideas. They are about my hand, my leg, my body, right? And because since nature has already been proved, therefore Descartes believes that this is also the part of the nature.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
Nivedita.
Yes, sir.
Can I speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can. Yeah.
When we say that I think, therefore I exist, what is that I? I means I am with my body and mind. I exist means not only my mind exists, I exist means I exist with my body and mind. My body is not excluded from my mind, because Descartes believes in both body and mind, both in extension and consciousness. So when Descartes claims that I think, therefore I exist, what is that I who thinks? What is that I that exists?
Yes.
That
Yes.
I means that my body and I exists with my body and mind. My
Okay, I could
body does
understand.
not. My body does not exist after world exists.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I could understand. Yeah.
First my mind exists, then God exists, then world exists, then my body is joined to my mind. No. I exist means I exist with my body and mind. So that matter is over. Then
Okay.
what is the cause of my existence? My existence means what is the cause of the existence of my body and mind and soul? Then my parents can be the cause of my body and mind, but my parents cannot be the cause of my soul. Therefore, God comes, because God is infinite. So something infinite can be the greater principle can be the cause of the cause. So therefore God comes. Then world comes. So this series ends there.
Okay.
Okay. So I exist. Therefore God exists. Therefore world exists. But in your order, I saw that after world exists, body exists.
No, this is not my order. This is actually Descartes' order. Descartes' order in the sense that when Descartes said that I exist, he never referred to body. He simply referred to mind, right? Means the spiritual entity exists, and therefore somewhere he said that mind is just like a ghost in the machine. So he actually destroyed everything. But first he stumbled upon the mind as a spiritual entity. Body doesn't come to the existence now. Simply mind exists. Mind has a separate entity. Mind has an independent existence. For Descartes, mind exists by itself. Mind doesn't depend on the body to exist. That is the dualism, Descartes talks about. If Descartes goes against it, then his dualism actually destroys. Mind can exist without the help of body. That is very, sounds very abstract, sounds very absurd also, but that is the scheme of Descartes, and therefore many people, they criticize Descartes. But Descartes started with that mind can exist by itself, nobody, nothing, no dependent. If you say that when I exist with body, then that means I become dependent with body, and that will be not allowed by Descartes. Descartes would say then it will not be a substance, because it is dependent on body, and if body doesn't exist, then I don't exist. It is
Then
not
where,
possible.
then where does my mind exist?
That is the ghost. No, Descartes says that is the ghost. Mind exists anywhere. That is absurd. Now, because most of the scientists, they discuss, they say that Descartes is absurd. How can a spirit exist? How can mind exist?
Then Descartes should say,
Yeah.
then Descartes should say the ghost thinks, therefore the ghost exists.
Yes.
Then
That I is ghost, of course. That I is ghost. Descartes did not use it spirits. Descartes did not use it a god, because God is spiritual. God, but God is also spiritual. God exists. Do you understand that? So this is how Descartes says that mind can exist by itself. Therefore, this is a substance.
Okay, sir. We shall discuss later on.
Yeah, that's
after this session.
Yeah.
Because here we are discussing something, particularly in this point. I want to be enlightened actually. If it is so, please after this session you can show me the reference where it is written.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I mean, I shall learn.
Yeah.
I shall learn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nivedita,
Thank you, sir.
anything else? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes. The next question is from Ratnakara Gajendra, sir.
Yeah.
He wants to know, space and time are empirically real but transcendentally ideal. Space and time are two forms of a priori intuition. Please explain in the light of Kant's philosophy.
Okay, it needs a lot of explanation. In the sense, what Kant believes that space and time both are, look, that is actually the twist of Kant. What it does, space and time, they do not exist in the world. So this is interesting. They exist in the mind, right? They exist in the mind, but they operate in the world. So that is actually the important line of Kant, that whenever I find any sense data from sense organs, so the sense data, when they come to us, right? They come to us randomly and sporadically. Each one is different, right? Each one is different. Now, Kant believes that how these sporadic sensations become perception, ready to become, to be further processed by categories, right? So in between, there are two faculties. One is space and time. And these are transcendental because without these two operations, sensation cannot bring us the empirics or sense datum. So therefore, this is a priori. They operate. So whenever I see a thing, all the time, I see a thing at a particular place from the distance of another thing. So that is the space. But that space doesn't exist in the outside of the world. That space is present in my mind. This is a mode of my sensation. But because that is there, therefore, I can see certain things. Kant believes that, look, there are many things in front of my eyes. And that is also very practical. When we walk on the road, we find many shops, right? Many shops, many people, many things around. But do we perceive everything? No. We perceive certain things. How is it possible? Kant believes that if empiricists are true, that our sense organs are active, they are very faithful, they are very honest warriors, they bring whatever they see outside of the world, then I should get all the panorama, all the views, whatever came in front of my eyes. But that didn't happen. How is it possible? My eyes were open and all these things were there in front of my eyes, but I did not receive everything. I received some of them. How does it happen? And he says it happens because of space and time. These are the mode of sensations. Now our space and time actually channelizes our sense organs to receive or to see or perceive that what it wants to see. Right? And that is why this is called transcendental. Transcendental, therefore this is called a priori. I think I'm sufficient, or else I'll write it, yeah, later.
Hello, Nivedita ma'am.
I think
Hello.
Nivedita has gone.
Yeah.
She is left, might be.
Sorry, sir. No.
Okay,
I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
I just muted. Okay, sir. The next question is from Saswati Palai. She wants to know. She wants a clarification that how Descartes said, "I exist, therefore God exists, and God exists, therefore world exists, and world exists, therefore body exists." I think you have cleared
that we discussed with Pramod sir, I think. That we discussed with Pramod sir. So I should not discuss again. The idea is that how he constructs what he destroyed. He destroyed everything first, then he constructed. When he constructed with a principle. The principle is nothing can come to the focus or to the table which was not spoken earlier, right? Nothing can come to the table which is not spoken earlier or which could not be deduced from the earlier proposition. That you have to understand. So when he destroyed and then constructed, what he found first? He found only I. And now that what is the nature of that I? That I is a spiritual entity. And therefore he said, I walk, therefore I exist. No. He didn't say that. I walk, therefore I exist. No. Right? No. I run, therefore I exist. No. I think, therefore I exist. So existence first comes to thinking substance. Right? And that is the first thing. From there you have to go. You cannot bring in everything again. You have to go only on that proposition. So first take that proposition only. What exists? Exists only the thinking being. Thinking being. Nothing exists. Only thinking being exists. That you mark. If only thinking being exists, then how can you deduce others' existence from the thinking being only? That is the crux of Descartes' philosophy. Thinking beings means what? Only ideas. Now what are the ideas? Descartes says ideas means three types of ideas: innate, fictitious, adventitious. Now the innate idea is God, therefore God could exist. Okay, innate idea is God. So idea of God is already there. Right? God. So this is that is one proof of existence of God. He has given many proofs, three different proofs. But this is one proof that from the very concept, how can existence comes? And this he brings from Augustine, no? Augustine's idea of proof of God. He brings that from the very idea how existence comes. Now let me give you an example so that you can understand it better. Suppose I say that here is a perfect rose. I say here is a perfect rose. Now what is the meaning of perfect rose? Whether that exists or not, that we don't know. Right? That we don't know because we have destroyed that. Simply you concentrate on the idea of perfect. Descartes did it. Descartes said, if you analyze the idea of perfection, means what? Perfection idea itself suggests that that idea is full of everything, all the qualities, all the possible qualities. Otherwise it is not perfect. You just imagine, I would say, take a perfect rose, but in that rose there is no smell. Can you say this is perfect rose? No. Why? Because there is at least one, there is one quality that doesn't exist, that is smell. So that is not a perfect rose. Okay, so perfect rose is a rose in which all the qualities are there. Okay, and therefore when you say that idea of God exists in my mind as an idea, and that idea is a perfect idea, what does it mean? It means all the possible qualities are present in that idea, isn't it? And if it is so, and at the same time if you say that God doesn't exist, it will be a contradiction, because then it will not be perfect. Because perfect, if it is perfect, then it has all the qualities. And you are saying it has one, it doesn't have one quality, that is, it doesn't exist. Then it is not perfect. It is 99% perfect. But God's idea is perfect. So it has to exist. So God has to exist. Okay. So this is how he moves on from one idea to a different.
Nivedita ma'am?
Next question.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
one thing, Nivedita.
I think, I think next next session is there.
Yeah, next session. Actually, I was just going to say that.
Yeah. No, if you allow, then I can go on, but I think I'm taking the I'm taking more time.
It's already 8 p.m. So
Thank you.
I think we should stop now. So thank you very much, sir. And Nivedita ma'am, please.
So others, please can call me if they have doubt, and we can talk at any time, no problem. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Devasis. Thank you, Nivedita. Thank you, all the organizers.
We are very lucky and glad that you have presented such a thing before us. Thank you very much, sir. And Nivedita. Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Please solve the riddle, sir. Please solve the riddle of the rose. Please solve the riddle of the rose.
Yeah. Okay, but it is really in fact that is the germ of philosophy, and the riddle should not be solved, right? The riddle should not be solved because that gives you momentum. But I simply said that, look, and here we can differentiate between realist and idealist, right? The whole philosophical debates go on because the first one who believe that the rose is red, therefore it looks red, they are realist. And the people who believe that it looks red, therefore it is red, they are idealist. And as the debate between realist and idealist are never solved, and I am sure that this is not going to be solved. Similarly, this riddle is also not going to be solved. Simply, we can find modifications and welfare of that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I can say that.
Then
only.
it cannot.
Yeah. So you can bring alternatives to that riddle and go on doing that.
No, I was confused because that I was not getting any solution to the problem. I didn't know that it will be reduced to a problem. I didn't know that.
Okay, very good. But getting an answer is not the job of philosophy, madam. Asking a question is the job of philosophy.
But you have given us a task now, so we have to do that.
Okay, thank you very much, and we will do it together. We will do it together. Let other speaker also speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Nivedita ma'am, please present formal vote of thanks. Then
Okay.
we'll invite.
I think Devasis, I think Kolasar first should speak. And I think I am the member of this group, so I don't need a formal vote of thanks. So let Kolasar speaks, and I am really extremely sorry that I intruded some time for him.
No, no, sir, no, sir. Actually,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. So I welcome our next speaker, Dr. Kailash Chandra Maharana, sir. So we are our philosophy family actually feels very proud that Kailash Chandra Maharana's effort for this for organizing and coordinating all these program. So we have seen him as coordinating maximum program of philosophy family. So I heartily welcome you, sir, to today's session as a speaker. So a brief introduction, a very brief introduction of Kailash Maharana, sir, is that he did his master degree, MPhil and PhD from Utkal University, and he did his PhD on a comparative and critical study of Professor Ratnakarapati and Ganeshwara Misra under the supervision of Professor Ganesh Prasad Das. And he has written 5 books. In spite of that, he is a reputed excellent teacher in the state who has been awarded as Guru Gaurav Samman by the Loko Sevaka Mandala and the best NSS program officer of the state. So, sir is I have no words to give such a introduction to sir. So, sir, please start your lecture here. In this word, I welcome you, sir. Please.
Oh, thanks so much, Devasis, for your sweet words on me. I also congratulate Professor Dr. Patitapana Das for his brilliant presentation today. I have no words to express my gratitude to him. I must thank you the way you have hosted and recorded the events of the webinar series to be ended today. I have no words to offer my gratitude for your strain, patience, and commitment for the philosophy family. Friends, I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you connected with this virtual academic program. Though it is too late to present my address here. So anyway, I have to make the proceedings very shortcut. Before presenting the proceedings of the webinar series, it's my honor and responsibility to offer gratitude to all of you to make the webinar series successful and meaningful. For the first time in the philosophical tradition of Odisha, the philosophy family has taken an adventurous academic program which would have benefited the students, scholars, teachers of philosophy during such pandemic times. Friends, last day I told you that the pandemic COVID-19 has offered a lot of opportunity to be carried out. How can I forget the noble thought and dream of Sri Pramod Kumar Das behind all these events? He created a group, then he combined us. We extended our support to him. But indeed, whatever he dreamed, we just carried out. Till date, we have conducted 2 monthly webinars where Professor Praful Kumar Mahapatra and Professor Saraj Kumar Mahanti, our revered teachers, delivered their talk on the applied ethics and Indian theories of morality and the ethics of earth, respectively. I, on behalf of philosophy family, bow down before their intellectual pursuit and wisdom for the cause of philosophy. Friends, we have also conducted another monthly webinar in collaboration with Wisdom Intellectual Forum Puri, where we invited Professor Dr. Gangadhar Pandey to speak on the topic, The Secret of Mahima Dharma. It was very excellent, and it was very understood by the participants. So far, we have completed 5 webinar series based on the syllabus of undergraduate students. They are Indian philosophy, Greek philosophy, history of Western philosophy, and Descartes meditation, and Ishopanishad. Now, we are continuing webinar series on Bhagavad Gita. Friends, I would like to place the proceedings of the webinar series which completed recently. That is the history of ancient Greek philosophy and the history of Western philosophy from Bacon to Kant. That is today it ended with the talk of Dr. Patita Vanadas. And he was having a very magical presentation today that I have never listened. You must have viewed the webinar series on Greek philosophy, where Professor Mohin Mohammed, Professor of Philosophy, Gangadhar Meher University, Sambalpur, was invited as our guest speaker. Professor Mohammed beautifully reflected his talk for 4 days, taking 8 hours on the thinkers of pre-Socratic period, philosophy of Socrates, philosophy of post-Socratic period, from ancient period to modern period. Friends, this webinar series started on 2nd September and ended on 7th September. The students and scholars got opportunity to know the philosophical acumen of Professor Mohin Mohammed within a short span of time. He tried to focus and reflect all the basic concepts within a short span of time from his deep understanding of the philosophy of ancient Greek philosophers. We offer our hearty gratitude for sharing his understanding and philosophical reflection with all of you. Again, I offer my sincere gratitude on behalf of philosophy family to him. The next series of webinar series was on the history of Western philosophy, which started on 8th September and ended today. It started with the philosophy of Francis Bacon and ended with the philosophy of Immanuel Kant. But formally, it ended with the talk of Patita Pavana Das. On the first day, we invited Professor Dr. Akwaras Chandra Das to present the inaugural session of the history of Western philosophy. Professor Das spoke on the philosophy of Francis Bacon. Particularly, he concentrated his lecture on the theory of idealism. In the second session, Dr. K. Omnaran Rao spoke on the inductive method from philosophy of Francis Bacon, which was moderated by Debasi Sarangi. Dr. Das and Dr. Rao very intelligently clarified all the concepts of the philosophy of Bacon. The first day ended with the exchange of interactive session from the participants. Due to the constraint of time, it is not possible for me to read out and to present all the subject matter, the summary of all the webinars. On the 9th September was the day of philosophy of René Descartes. Professor Pramod Kumar Das was assigned to speak on the universal doubt and existence of self, and Professor Vasant Kumar Das was assigned to speak on Descartes' conception of God, mind, and body. The reflective thought of Sri Pramod Kumar Das and Dr. B.K. Das inspired and influenced the participant. We thank both the speakers for their creative thought and presentation on the philosophy of Descartes. The third day was the day of discussing Descartes' meditation, which happened to be a paper for UG students. For the benefit of UG students during the pandemic time, the organizers thought it vital to be communicated to all the UG students and PG students. Dr. Nusrat Chandra Samantara was a senior teacher in philosophy. He contributed a book on Descartes' meditation 2 years back, and he was invited to share his thoughts on Descartes' meditation. Dr. Samantarai made a conceptual clarification on all the basic ideas of René Descartes. It was a thought-provoking presentation. We offer gratitude to Dr. N. Samantarai for his reflective thought. On 11th September, we organized a webinar on the philosophy of Spinoza. Dr. Ratnakar Gajendra, a senior most teacher in philosophy of the state, spoke on substance, attribute, and modes. And Dr. K. Omnan Rao spoke on pantheism and parallelism and made all the concepts clear. On 12th September, I'm going to make it very shortcut. On 12th September, the webinar was focused on the philosophy of Leibniz, which was delivered by Dr. Devadatta Misra and Sri Pramod Kumar Das. On 13th September, Dr. Jatin Biswai was invited to present his lecture on epistemology from the philosophy of John Locke, and Dr. Prakashini Das Kanungo was invited to speak on substance from the philosophy of John Locke. Really, the talk of Dr. Biswai and Dr. Das Kanungo were very reflective for the students. On 14th September, we invited Dr. Narayana Behera to speak on Judge Berkeley's reputation of abstract idea and matter. And Debashish Sarangi was invited to speak on the subject of idealism and solipsism on the philosophy of Judge Berkeley. It was also very interesting and reflective. 15th September was dedicated to the philosophy of David Hume, which was presented by Professor Indu Khanduri. He clearly reflected the idea of cause and substance, epistemology, and skepticism, which is mind blowing. We all enjoyed the program, the lecture of Dr. Khanduri, and actually we bow down before him for her reflective thought and inquisitive for philosophy. Whenever the pre-scheduled speaker hesitated to attend the webinar, Sri Pramod Kumar Das all of a sudden agreed to carry out the scheduled program. Sri Pramod Kumar Das agreed to speak on the philosophy of Immanuel Kant when the scheduled speakers were absent. That is, he spoke on rationalism, empiricism, synthetic a priori judgment on 16th September. We offer a gratitude to him for his immediate action to continue the webinar series at every moment. Similarly, on 17th September, Dr. Sachindra Raul agreed to present the webinars of 2 sessions on the philosophy of Immanuel Kant. He beautifully reflected Kant's conception on space, time, categories, schematism, and antinomy. Dr. Raul was an expert on the philosophy of Kant, and he made justice to the philosophy of Kant, and he tried to reach the unreached. And he made a very conceptual clarification of all the basic ideas of Kant before the students, scholars, and teachers philosophy. And today, what we listened and learned from Dr. Patithavan Das is mind-blowing, really mind-blowing. He presented such a nice lecture, and he presented the overview of Western European philosophy that I have never witnessed. His presentation is very innovative, interesting, and reflective. Within a short span of time, he could present such a nice lecture from Bacon to Kant that we have never listened. Really, I have never listened. We record his brilliant presentation for the noble cause of philosophy. Friends, due to paucity of time, it is not possible in my part to present the details of proceedings, to present the summary of the proceedings, and to the summary of all the webinars before you. On behalf of the philosophy family, offer my deep sense of gratitude to all the speakers, those who have spared their time and presentation for the cause of philosophy. I feel honored to offer gratitude to our coordinators and moderators, Dr. Patita Bhavana Das, Dr. Om Naran Rao, Dr. Kalyani Sarangi, Dr. Pragyan Prakashin Das, Nivedita Priyadarshini, Maheshwata Mahanti, and our dear Debasi Sarangi for their commitment throughout the webinar series. Our admin and convener, Sri Pramod Kumar Das, has excellently planned, checked out, and executed all the webinars in spite of his family and personal problems that we all know. We thank to all the participants and question raisers throughout the webinar series, without whom the webinar series would not have been meaningful and successful. And I'm grateful to them for their reflective thought, for their understanding, and for their deep sense of listening, patient hearing all the programs. I would like to offer my gratitude to all the student participants for making the program, for making the webinar series successful through their silent observation, through their silence listening. Friends, we are going to conduct webinar series on ethics and applied ethics from 25th September to 30th September for the larger benefit of undergraduate students, so far as the CBCS syllabus is concerned. We hope the students and teachers will cooperate us and extend their hands with us to make all the future programs very successful and meaningful. Last but not least, I thank all the participants, all the scholars and students, teachers, those who have cooperated us throughout the webinar series. And I especially offer my gratitude, my love to Mr. Devasi Sarangi for his strain, for his commitment and love for philosophy, because he has recorded all the programs and shared the lecture program to the YouTube. I thank you very much. I thank all the organizers for making the webinar series very successful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So, um, Nivedita ma'am, hello.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So propose the vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I, on behalf of the entire members of the philosophy family and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the speaker of today's session, Dr. Praktitapavan Das, sir, for your remarkable presentation, as well as for sharing your findings and understanding on Western European philosophy. Thank you so much, sir. I must thank Kora, sir, for your detailed discussion on the proceedings. I must thank you for your endless cooperation and to the coordination to philosophy family. I must be thankful to.
Thank you, Nivedita.
Hello. I thank Nivedita, madam.
I also Nivedita. I also thank Nivedita, madam.
Yeah, thank you, Nivedita.
We all thank
you,
Nivedita, madam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nivedita and Devasis.
Hearty thanks to Nivedita.
Pramod sir, Devasis and Nivedita are rising now. They are rising.
Okay,
They're rising. They're rising. Really, they're rising.
Okay. Actually, the philosophy family feels proud of them.
Yes, they're the rising stars of philosophy. Young rising stars.
Okay. Nivedita should come forward with the papers. Nivedita should deliver talks next time.
Thank you, sir. I must be thankful to all the speakers who have been played a vital role in understanding the philosophy by sharing their thoughts to us. Thank you all. I must give my vote of thanks to Mr. Devasi Sarangi, sir, for your extended coordination for this webinar. Your effort for the development of philosophy family is praiseworthy. Thank you, sir. I must give my gratitude and vote of thanks to the founders and organizing committee of philosophy family, Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, sir, Dr. K.O. Narayan, sir, including Dr. Kaulas, sir, and Pathitapavan, sir, and also to Devasi Sarangi, sir, and all the teachers who are in some way involved in this intellectual development. I must give my vote of thanks to the participants and students for joining the webinar and for their participation in this interaction session as well. Thank you very much. The program now ends here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to all. Have a wonderful evening. So the program ends now.
Thank you.